In order to understand this, we're going to use a model of a three-dimensional Triforce. And this three-dimensional Triforce represents a pyramid. It's a perfect way to map out and understand the development of these archetypes. In order to understand the mature masculine archetypes, we must first be familiar with the main immature masculine archetypes from which they emerge, or the lower aspects. The specific archetypes we will explore are decidedly masculine, although there are most certainly feminine counterparts as well. The 3D Triforce has 4 sides, or 4 faces in total. 3 individual Triforce aspects make up each face. There's also a shadow aspect upon each face of the Triforce, which we will explore as well. Each face of the Triforce represents one of the 4 main archetypes of the masculine, while the entire Triforce itself represents the integration of all 4 of these mature masculine archetypes or attributes into one character or person. So what I'm going to show you is how Link starts as the hero and how he makes it psychologically, what's going on metaphysically within him. Not through the story, but through the symbolism of the Triforce, how he goes from a boy to a man. And we're going to begin with the archetype most closely associated with Link. This is the Triforce of the warrior. The warrior is the mature masculine archetype which sits at the apex of the lower aspects comprised of the sadist and the masochist. The fully formed warrior archetype has many positive aspects to offer the world. The warrior has a true sense of the fragility of life. Subsequently, he or she acts as if every moment and every deed counts. This realization is extended to all things, all people, even one's enemies. The warrior does not hesitate, and instead honors the now. He does not dwell in thought at the expense of taking action. The warrior does not need approval from others. Even in peaceful action, the warrior is an important and effective energy to channel. The warrior is committed to his highest virtues and will not yield these to others. The warrior is skilled at managing distractions of the mind, such as petty quibbles, in order to focus on what really matters. The warrior is proficient with the tools of his or her given craft and is decisive with clear thinking. So here's the developmental map, and this is where it gets really, really interesting. So we're going to start the hero and the immature archetype, and the map is at the bottom. That's the lower, and then the higher is the mature archetype. The passive, lesser elements of the warrior and all archetypes we will discuss appear on the left side of the Triforce. The active lesser elements appear on the right side of the Triforce. The immature archetype of the warrior is, of course, like I said, the hero. The lesser elements of the hero are the coward and the bully. The hero archetype may be accessed through either the bully or the coward aspects, and often a combination of the two. The same can be said of the lower aspects of the warrior. A character existing on the level of the Triforce of the warrior, such as Ganon, embodies only the lesser warrior elements, hence his often beast-like form. Ganon does not represent the fully formed archetype of the warrior. However, Link gains status as the fully formed warrior by defeating Ganon, ascending beyond the lesser warrior elements, and seated firmly into the mature and fully formed archetype of the warrior by the end of the Legend of Zelda story, or at least in a lot of the games. So what I'm saying is, if you think about Ganon, he is older than Link, right? We presume that he is an adult, and so he is a warrior. However, he's not a fully formed warrior. He's an immature man. And so he has this, he's kind of on the sadist side, right? But so he has the appearance of a warrior, but psychologically he's not a fully formed, developed warrior. He just looks like one, right? The lower elements, the coward and the bully, those elements would be the childish sort of, you'd have the playground bully, or the kid who's always getting beat up in school, right? And every shade in between. Well, if the bully keeps being a bully and never grows out of that, right? Let's say a kid's a bully all the time and he grows into an adult and becomes a bully, he becomes a sadist, right? And so if a child is a perpetual coward, or is that sort of very timid, weak, that kind of thing, and never grows out of that, they'll grow into adulthood as a masochist, right? A masochist, of course, is someone who is, they believe that they deserve bad things to happen, or they deserve punishment, that kind of thing. So as we go through all four of these archetypes, these main archetypes of this four-facing Triforce, this pyramid, really, think about it in those terms, because these are basically psychological maps of development for the male psyche. The warrior is only accessed by reaching the level of the hero first. Otherwise, the cowardly boy likely evolves into the masochistic man, or the bully often turns into the sadist. The fully realized hero often becomes the immature warrior, who, in his immaturity, is vulnerable to the influence of the lower warrior elements of the sadist and the masochist, unless, of course, the young warrior is presented with a monumental challenge in which he is able to defeat a warrior that dwells in the lesser elements. Those men who do not defeat the lesser warrior become underlings and lesser warriors themselves. They may never ascend to the fully formed warrior archetype without that challenge. Link's greatest challenge involves the bestial form of Ganondorf, known simply as Ganon. The killing of the beast symbolizes the struggle and sacrifice required in order for the higher self to prevail over the lower. The battle and slaying of the beast by the hero doesn't only relate to the struggle between good and evil and the subsequent triumph of one over the other, but more importantly, it is a symbolic act of growing up. The reason we find the story of the hero so compelling is that we can relate to the feeling of contending with monumental challenges and the beasts hidden in our lower self, or maybe the beastly behavior of someone in front of us. After all, a really good story or video game tells us important things about ourselves, even if we aren't consciously aware of it. The real triumph here is that the challenge and the ritual killing is able to elevate the immature hero to the mature warrior. This Cult of Mithra statue, seen on the far left, appears to represent a vitally important rite of passage or transition for the masculine archetypal energy. It serves as the archetype of both the hero and the warrior, among other areas of great significance. The figure of Mithra bears a curiously familiar resemblance to our favorite Hylian hero, Link. The scene taking place with this statue captures the very moment of transition from hero to warrior. The hero may risk his life in many foolish ways on his journey, but he only becomes the warrior fully and completely when his sacrifice results in something of actual benefit to the realm, such as protecting the innocent by vanquishing an evil overlord or providing food to the village from a hunt.